segment brought to you by the Scott County Public Library. I'm your host here once again, Lincoln, to showcase some of the movies that we have and talk about a few movies you may have seen and a few others you might have missed along the way. Since we're quickly approaching Halloween this year, and with the newest Halloween sequel, Halloween Kills, coming out, I thought it'd be the perfect time to talk about two movies that led up to this newest story in the franchise. So first up, we head back to where it all began 40 plus years ago in John Carpenter's 1978 classic, Halloween, which you can now stream on Hoopla. John Carpenter was born all the way back in New York, but moved to Bowling Green, Kentucky in the early 60s. He knew from a very early age that he wanted to be a film director, so after attending Western Kentucky University, he was able to transfer all of his credits to the film school for USC. After graduating, he began to work with a producer named Irwin Yablans while doing the movie Assault on Precinct 13 in the mid-70s. Irwin Yablans had a new company at the time called Compass International Pictures, and after the success of Assault had made him a small profit, he had called Carpenter asking him to make a horror picture for his company, and he wanted to call it The Babysitter Murders. With a budget over $300,000, which was more than John Carpenter had ever worked with in his life before, he had made a deal was made, and Carpenter put together a script for the film along with his girlfriend at the time, Deborah Hill, who would go on to become one of the greatest producers in film and wrote what we now call as Halloween. While the film was shot in Pasadena in the summer of 1977, the movie takes place in the Midwest town. It's a fictional town called Haddonfield, Illinois. Haddonfield itself was created as a sort of hodgepodge based on the town of Haddonfield, where Deborah had grown up, with street names taken by places in Western Kentucky from John Carpenter's childhood. The film itself stars the greats like Donald Pleasence, who had been working as an actor on the stage as well as the screen for many years in classics like The Caretaker, The Eagle Has Landed, and the always classic The Great Escape. As the single-minded doctor set on ridding the world of the evil that has escaped him in Michael Myers, as well as the wonderful performance from Jamie Lee Curtis, who was 19 at the time when this movie was made, whose career spans almost six decades now of classic films. She is back at this resilient babysitter that fights against the Michael Myers. What resulted was a movie that would go on to become one of the top grossing independent films of all time and scare an entire generation with this boogeyman. And has been so popular, he's just been coming back over 40 years now, over and over again. So now that we fast forward 40 years and over 9 sequels later, Halloween returns once again in a reboot that skips over all the previous entries, preferring to make a direct sequel to the original all those years ago. It was directed by David Gordon Green, and this story takes place 40 years after the original, as Michael Myers is once again on the prowl after escaping the prison transfer bus. But this time, Laurie Strode is no longer a victim, as she is preparing her whole life to fight against this evil once more. Jamie Lee Curtis does a terrific job playing the role and provides the best elements of this film that kind of holds it all together, in my opinion. Her portrayal as Laurie Strode is now fierce and believable as a woman paranoid by her past, as she prepares to fight for her family so that no one ever has to go through the trauma she suffered once. This serves as a solid and highly enjoyable entry into the series, and one of the strongest aspects presented here, in my opinion, is the competent rewriting of the story that offers a fine setup for what's happening and what's to come and beyond. The ignoring of the sequels allows us to offer up a decent reboot of the storyline where the events of the past and the present offer a stellar series of resolutions and payouts. From the emotional toll of the events of the past that have taken on Laurie and the strained relationship everyone has with her and her family because of it. Overall, I think this movie was a lot of fun to rewatch and ended up earning well over $250 million on a $10 million budget, which shows you just how popular this franchise still is after 40 years. As usual, all of these week's films are available at the public library, and I encourage you to search them out and find them for yourselves. You can always find every single episode of Real Talk on our Facebook and YouTube, and to continue to check out our website for great programs. This has been Lincoln once again for Real Talk, here to remind you to watch more movies.